Hey y'all, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. Over here is day 26. The prompt word was dark, and you can check out the link for this piece in the top right corner. Today, I'll be honest, I was not looking forward to this color. This is Ecolines 374, and it is not what I would call a signature color, and the entire time I was at work today, I didn't have motivation. So I hosted an Instagram poll on whether or not I should change to a different color. The only other option I have out of my entire ink set is my Naphthol Crimson from Liquitex Acrylic Inks. It was 50-50 when I started recording this video, and unfortunately since then it's gone closer to I should have stuck with the skin tone. However, I decided to put it to a coin toss since that is also technically 50-50, but we did best 2 out of 3. First toss was a tails, second toss was a heads, and then the final toss was a tails, so we are going with the Naphthol Crimson. Now, for the thumbnail I also didn't like it. I wanted to find a way to use that fleshy color for the prompt word coat, and I just didn't enjoy it. So before I picked out my color, I kind of started sketching a few different things, and I didn't want to go with coat as in like a jacket, because I'll be honest, it just felt a little overplayed. So instead I was going with like a coat of something over like a liquid. Either we were going to go with a coat of paint or a coat of potion, like some sort of protective seal. And we've gone with the coat of paint. Since it was a red, I figured it's fitting that we went back to our little witch dolls that I made on day 5. The prompt word was build, and I can link that in the top right corner. But this piece is more myself actually building little witch dolls. I didn't want to fuss around with potentially making a new character design because I had to come home from work and immediately start working on this. So I just wanted to keep things simple, so I decided to make it a real close-up shot. I wanted to just make the person in the background myself. So this is kind of like the first drawing of myself on this entire channel. And to kind of put a few other references to other pieces, I decided to make the ink that I designed on day 13 a brand of inks. So I made that that inkwell in the front there. It's kind of supposed to, the lettering on the side is supposed to say poison paints, and then the color is supposed to be bloody red. I considered moving it over and putting the skull on the side of the jar, but I really didn't want to have to deal with too much lettering today, to be honest. There really isn't a lot of story behind this one. The quote-unquote story of this one also differs from day 5 because in day 5 the witch dolls are actually alive through some means. And I mentioned in that video how I wanted to make the dolls myself and just have a few on my desk. So that's kind of what I went off of for this one. Also, during the line art phase, I royally screwed up my glasses. They're not supposed to be anywhere near that thick. My hand just kind of slipped on the one that's halfway hiding behind my hair, and I had to roll with it, and it's just... Nope, the glasses are probably like my least favorite part of this piece. Now, this Naphthol Crimson is part of the ink that I'm used to make my custom ink on day 20. You know, it's weird. I made that ink about a year ago or 2 years ago now, and I loved that ink more than this ink at the time. However, I think this color is a little bit better, or at least how I used it in this piece. I think I like a lot better than how I used the Liquitex custom ink that I made over on day 20. It's very rare that I like very vivid reds, but I really like it this time. And since this weekend has been very long and very work intensive. My wrist was actually cramping up through a little bit of this piece, and I didn't have as steady of control over my brushes as I usually do. I mean, I always go outside the lines a little bit, but today was just a lot worse than most days. But that's what happens when you do woodworking for 6 or so hours before you come to work on a piece, you know? That lovely day job. When I was working on, it's so weird to say, but my face, I made the eyes rather light, and I kind of messed up in inking my right pupil. Then the left one was fine. I later go in with the same color or the same ink wash that I did my hair with, just to kind of get rid of the weird line. I also didn't want to do too much white line art after finishing all the ink washes. I just wanted this piece to be a lot more simple, you know, just to be able to actually get it done. These last, oh god, how many days do we have left? So 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. Okay, 4 days. I feel like these last 4 days are going to whoop my ass. I have already fallen a little bit further behind than I intended, and I'm honestly a little disappointed in myself. I had such a good lead at first, and then it just kind of disappeared. But I mean, the piece is finished. I will say that I do like this piece. It is one of my favorites for being so simple. I am a little sad that I went so close in composition to day 5, because we do have the big female living person character in the top right corner of the piece, and also the witch doll that is kind of closer. That one is more complex given the fact that it had a more intensive background and you showed more of the human behind it. However, looking at it afterwards, it's just very similar, and I wish I would have made myself push a little harder, but my motivation was lacking today, and I think this is the first day that my motivation really lacked. When I was working on the, is it called the ferrule of the brush, the metal part? I wanted to make sure that I tried to make it metallic. I had it good at first, and then I was like, you know, it needs a little bit more shadow. And I should have waited to lay down that little bit of shadow, because that wet ink just crept further and further along. I really need to get into, or I need to teach myself or take some classes on how to make better gradients with wet inks and such in small spaces, because usually when I try to, I just end up ruining what I had already laid down, and that super sucks for acrylic inks where you can't pull it back up. I did put eyeshadow on myself. I thought that the eyes looked a little bit too bland without it, but I didn't like that I was the only part that was entirely gray. Like, everything else had a little spot of pink or red. I decided to color over my eyeshadow with a little bit of pink as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed watching this piece, and I'm really sorry that these past few Inktober's have been getting out so late. I've just been filming very late and then editing and yada yada. Y'all don't need to hear my excuses, but I'm hoping that the rest of the days will be able to get up at kind of a normal time. But if you'd feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button and check me out on my other social media handles. Thanks, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.